Hey guys, Rudy here. Want to give a shout out to Skulltrap to responding to my video where I talked about the AI psyop. So that's what it is. It's essentially a psyop where we're going to be set up to basically give up our freedoms, what little freedoms we have left, the illusion of freedom of it at least. And Skulltrap goes on to say that, which I found really interesting, is that we need to. Well, I've said in the past we need to bow. It's impossible to bow out of the system, and he suggests we try to bow out of the system, which I think is impossible, by the way. And he talked about the paradox of the technology that we're using right now in order to just communicate these ideas, and that's a big reason why I say it's impossible to bow out. But I left a comment. It's not showing for some reason. I'm pretty sure I said a naughty word in there somewhere, and Susan's like, hell to the no. You're not posting that. But it shows up when you hit newest. Like if you go to comments, you hit newest on his comment section. You hit newest and then it'll show. I don't know what the deal's with that, but that tends to be the case. I got on my alternate account and checked. I hit newest and there it is. But I'm going to go ahead and read it. Let's just start from the top. Thanks for the shout out. Real ID is already here. It's just a matter of normalizing it. When I say normalize, I mean it's already here. So it's just a matter of getting people to get used to the idea of having this alternate means of ID. You know what the funniest thing about this is? This is going to be a bit of a tangent, but the people I deal with, I talked about my job in customer service, and there's a lot of people out there who have already normalized this real ID thing. They have LA Wallet. They use it to pay for alcohol, to use it to pay tobacco, because they have to show their ID. And 9 times out of 10, well, not 9 times out of 10, that's a good bit. Maybe like half of them have LA Wallet, and they don't have a physical ID with them. And it's just amazing to me because the kinds of people that do have LA Wallet are the kinds of people who you would consider maybe rebels, or like, and when I say rebels, I mean like the kind of people who are always drinking and partying and smoking, but they do the LA Wallet thing without giving it a second thought. It's crazy to me because these are the kinds of people that consider themselves going against the grain, going against mommy and daddy, going against God, and here they are using LA Wallet, a totally system approved, like government approved thing to do. It's just crazy to me. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but I think it's important to mention that because it's just an observation I made. I don't have LA Wallet. I'm not gonna get it until it's forced on me by gunpoint, and that's just the way it is. Reading on. This material realm is all artificial, and when I say artificial, I mean the material by definition. When it comes to spiritual versus material, material is the artificial part, the false part, the fake reality part. Moving on. In a video I made titled NPCs Are Important, I talk about this in more detail. It's impossible to bow out. You can't hide. Even if you're a hermit living in the mountains, even the Amish had to interact with the system at some point. They have access to emergency services they're entitled to by merely being US citizens. They still pay taxes. You cannot run. And I don't mean that in like a you can't run from it kind of thing. I mean it is like that's just the absolute reality of the situation. The truth of the situation, because even people like the Amish can't get away. If you were to live in the mountains, at some point you're still going to have to interact, like you're still stuck in this material world. You can't get out of that system. My solution is to live your life, observe, and not to be fearful or angry. Feeding off of emotions is another way the sick system gets life. I'm a father and a husband, two of the most important tasks I've been given by God. And, like Noah, if we all have our homes in order, we will survive the flood and be spared. We're living out the biblical mythos in the present. Technology has blinded us in that regard as well, thinking we're some kind of advanced human when all we are is an ape with a computer in our pocket. We're the same group of dummies from the biblical story. Same body, same spirit, same family issues, same mess that comes along with being in these bestial bodies. But we're not animals. It's merely the bodily flesh that we've been given as a test to overcome. We are powerful beings in an animal body. It's our will and minds that can manifest great things and move mountains. This is the exact reason they distract us. As a collective consciousness, we're too powerful and need to be controlled. 9/11 was proof of this. Powerful beings hyper-focus on one event. Now we're chock full of retrocausality, Mandela effects, synchronicity, and predictive programming. Let's not forget the gematria. I didn't put that, but that's what I meant. The video I made about the AI isn't intended to spread fear. It's merely an observation and a warning. Next time I'll be more careful because the last thing I want is to spread fear porn. And that really wasn't my intention. I'm not trying to get anybody afraid or scared. I was just pointing it out because I think that's what's coming next. And like I said in that video, it's going to happen within, 10 years. And the boomers are going to be the ones that go along with it because they're the biggest group of sheep right now, the biggest demographic. I don't care their race or ethnicity or gender. All boomers are the same in that regard. They go along with the crap. They go along with the bullshit. That's just the way they're built. So they'll be the first ones to adopt this nonsense. And there's a big reason why I brought up the flood story, because a lot of people, especially Christians, they think the flood story is like just some historical event that happened. And it may be so. It may have been something that actually happened, because a lot of different cultures all over the world have a flood story. And a lot of scientist assholes and historian assholes like to say, well, since the mythology is all over the world, then Christians must be wrong about it. And I don't think it's necessarily that. But the typical secular materialist Christian, traditional Christian, will just hear the flood story and just kind of not think about it anymore. They don't see that in their own lives. And it's insane to me, because to me, Noah, other than Jesus, I've talked about this before, other than Jesus, Noah was perfect in his time. It even says it word for word in the Bible. Noah was perfect in his time. He walked with God. He had his family in order. The things outside of himself didn't affect him. And that's the way we need to be. That's the way you need to be. That's the way I need to be. If you have your family in order, if you have your shit together, these little details, these little satanic Luciferian 6666 system is not going to affect you in the slightest bit. I'll give you a quick example. We have take action pills on our we have take action pills on our counter, basically, as an impulse item. And some jackasses during the day apparently came to try to protest it and start all this kinds of trouble. All these Christians came around and started giving them shit. I wasn't around for it. It hadn't happened on my shift, and that would be interesting if it did. But it had me thinking, why are these people upset? Because take action pill is it's a lot of people call it an abortion pill. It's not an abortion pill. It's nothing like that. It just prevents, to get technical, it prevents the egg from sticking to the womb, basically. It can cause the woman to have their period early. And you can take it at any age, and you don't need an ID to buy it. And that's what the big issue was, is that they felt as if it was being marketed to children. And it really annoys me, because not for the reasons you would think. It annoys the hell out of me when these little fundamentalist Christians who are parents come nosing around, pointing at things that shouldn't even affect them. Because, like the example I gave with Noah, if you have your shit together, if you have your family in order, if your children are raised correctly, little shit like the take action pill won't affect you in the slightest. It'll be just another trick from the devil. And I can't believe, it blows my mind that these Christians are so stupid that something so small and insignificant like that would affect them. It's like, what? Do you have a daughter? Okay, yes. Let's play a game. They have a daughter. Next question. Would they have sex out of wedlock? Well, no. Okay. Would they fool around with a boy? Just stuff like that. It's like, okay, no. Well, then what do you have to worry about? You have your life together. You have your life in order. So what's the problem? And let's extend that to every person on the planet. No. Let's extend that to every Christian in town. If they had their shit together, this isn't something they would get upset over. And this is the thing that, I don't know, it was just, and it's the funny part about this is, this was just a few days ago where I had these thoughts about Noah and the flood, and seeing this biblical mythos play out in front of my eyes. because I'm unaffected by these little take action pills. I have a daughter. She's going to be a teenager in a few years. It's like I'm unaffected because we're raising her correctly. I'm not saying I'm immune to, because the reality will play tricks on you, right? The sick society. All right, I got cut off there. The audio recording I did got cut off towards the end there. I think what I was trying to say, because this is like an hour after before I realized it. I was trying to say that the society will like try to corrupt you, will try to corrupt your children, and a lot of that can't be helped. But the best you can do to bastion yourself against this onslaught of what reality throws at you, what society throws at you, what the government throws at you, all these ideas like this take action pill, like the idea that you can do this to your body with no consequences, no spiritual consequences. When I say spiritual, I really mean psychological, because I've heard stories from girls, anecdotal stories, right? Just things that people have told me about females who have gotten abortions, who do things like this, and they're not doing so well spiritually and psychologically. And to me, the psychological and the spiritual are all one and the same. But I kind of got off the beaten path. My overall point is these little things like this real ID shouldn't affect me or you, because we have the realization that we're spiritual beings in a body and we're just stuck in this material realm. And that's all I had to say, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day.
And what seems a good thing today, or yesterday, like DDT, turns out tomorrow to have been a disaster. What seemed in the moral and spiritual sphere too, like great virtues in times past, are easily seen today as hideous evils. Let's take, for example, the Inquisition. In its own day, among Catholics, the Holy Inquisition was regarded as we today regard the practice of psychiatry. You see, you feel that in curing a person of cancer, almost anything is justified. The most complex operations, the most weird surgery, people suspended for days and days on end the end of tubes with X-ray penetration, burning, or people undergoing shock treatment, people locked in the colorless, monotonous corridors of mental institutions. In all good faith, they knew that witchcraft and heresy were terrible things, awful plagues, imperiling people's souls forever and ever. So any means were justified to cure people of heresy. We don't change. We're doing the same thing today, but under different names. We can look back at those people and see how evil that was, but we can't see it in ourselves. So therefore, beware of virtue. Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, said, "The highest virtue is not virtue, and therefore really is virtue. But inferior virtue cannot let go of being virtuous, and therefore is not virtue." Translated in more of a periphrastic way, the highest virtue is not conscious of itself as virtue, and therefore really is virtue. Lower virtue is so self-conscious that it's not virtue. In other words, when you breathe, you don't congratulate yourself on being virtuous. But breathing is a great virtue. It's living. When you come out with beautiful eyes, blue or brown or green as the case may be, you don't congratulate yourself for having grown one of the most fabulous jewels on earth. So it's just eyes. And you don't account it a virtue. To see, to entertain the miracles of color and form. You say, oh, that's just... But that's real virtue. Virtue, in the sense, the old sense of the word, a strength, is when we talk about the healing virtue of a plant. That's real virtue. But the other virtues are stuck on. They're ersatz, they're imitation virtues. And they usually create trouble. Because more diabolical things are done in the name of righteousness. And be assured that everybody of whatever nationality or political frame of mind or religion always goes to war with a sense of complete rightness. The other side is the devil. Our opponents, whether in China or Russia or Vietnam, have the same feeling of righteousness about what they're doing as we have on our side. And a plague on both houses, because, as Confucius said, the goody-goodies are the thieves of virtue, which is the form of our own proverb, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.